What you need to do if you have this mission accomplished is worry about your actions, not anybody else's. The biggest problem in our society right now is everybody worries about everybody's actions but their own. On every side of the equation. So what I would tell you to do is what I'm doing for a living, which is I have unbelievable social wants of kindness for the world, but I'm not gonna allow my friends to tell me how to do that. My friends tell me I need to be a keyboard warrior on Twitter. I think they're full of and trying to look good on social media but don't live their truth.
So it's about understanding the unique perspective that you bring and not letting other people kind of like play with that.
In action, meaning continue to do your podcast, continue to put out content, continue to wear your t-shirt, but not worry about what anybody else is doing with it, because when you try to boil the ocean, you don't.
Living your life based off how other people think of you is the fastest way to hating your life. Think about it. Everybody's got an opinion on what you should do with your life, right? People, from the moment you wake up, before you've even gotten up, there's a whole bunch of people out there who have an idea for what you should do with your day. Whether it's your friends or your family or your coworkers or your boss or your team or your employees or your customers, everybody's got an agenda for your time. And the first thing that most people do is you wake up, you pick up your phone, and you start reacting to other people's emergencies. You are thinking about putting out some content or expressing yourself in some way or getting a new haircut or getting some fresh clothes. And the first thought that then comes to mind is, oh, how am I gonna be seen? What are people gonna think? It's funny, we wanna put out content. The number of people who message me and say, hey, Evan, I wanna put out content. I wanna create my own YouTube channel, but I'm too afraid. Like, well, what are you afraid of? Well, I'm afraid that nobody's gonna see it, and I'm afraid that people will see it and they will judge me. Think about how crazy that is. You're afraid that nobody's gonna see it, and then you're at the same time afraid that people will see it and that they will judge you for it. And so people keep getting stuck in this loop of just constantly overthinking instead of actually doing. And it's a giant dilemma. It's a big problem because you know you're capable of more, right? If you know that you could be here, if you have dreams, goals, aspirations, desires to be up here, right? Like, do you have goals for where you want to take your life? Of course you do, for where you could be. And the path to get there is filled with other people's opinions. The blocks of why you can't take the next step is because of how somebody might judge you. Because you're not actually that afraid of failing. You're afraid of failing and who will see you fail, right? You'll sing in the shower, but you won't sing on the street corner. What's the difference? Other people will see you. So you're not that afraid of failure. You're afraid of failing and who's gonna watch you, who's gonna see you, who did you fail in front of, looking around like, oh, did anybody see me? That's the problem. And so if you know you're capable of more and you're stuck down here and that's the only difference, you have to learn to start to break that pattern. The second that you start to feel somebody else's judgment of you, and that's the reason why you're not taking your idea to the next level, it's not a good enough reason. Nope, not anymore, not for you. Let me share with you a couple tips of how you can take that concept and make it practical. Number one, trust your ideas. Trust your ideas. Trust that they came to you, the intention is good, right? Ask yourself, this idea that came to me, is the intention good? Are you in a positive place or negative place, right? If the intention is negative, oh, I hate that person and I'm gonna screw them over and I'm upset at them and I'm in jealousy or rage. Okay, don't trust that idea. But the ideas that are positive, the ideas where you're feeling good and bold and powerful and confident, like I've got this great idea. You get these ideas in a shower, you get these ideas when you're on vacation, you get these ideas when you're outside walking in nature. Those ideas, trust those ideas. Trust that they came to you for a reason. Stop overthinking them, stop overjudging them. Stop trying to figure out how it's gonna work out before you take some kind of action. Trust the ideas, period. It came to you, you are a genius, therefore it's a great idea, and start taking some kind of action on it. Step number two, when you feel the burn of somebody's opinion on you, even if they haven't done it yet, you just feel the potential burn of somebody's opinion on it. Teach yourself to go do that thing. Do that thing just because. Even if it has nothing to do with your business or your goals, just because. I remember I was walking down a street and I was on my way to my dance studio. So I own Toronto Dance Salsa. It's the largest salsa dance school in Canada. And that was a 25-minute walk, something like that, 25-minute walk. And I had my music on in my ears, and I'm dancing on these little side streets as I'm walking there. And then I get to the corner of Yonge and Shepherd, which is a really busy intersection in Toronto. And all of a sudden, what happens is lots of people, right? It's a busy intersection. And what I noticed myself doing was I stopped dancing. I went from like big dancing on the street, walking down the street, let's go, to, just like a head bob, right? Just a head bob. And I caught it. I said, wait, what am I doing? I'm not living my life. I'm not having the fun that I should be having. I'm not playing big because what? Because there's some random people around me. And as soon as I caught that, then I started dancing bigger. I said, put the music on louder, started dancing bigger right there in the corner, Yonge and Shepherd. And you know what? Most people didn't even care. Most people are like, hey, whatever, walk. They don't even look at you. Some people look and maybe they think it's the worst thing ever, or maybe it inspires them. Maybe they have a smile and they go off and make somebody else's day a little bit brighter. Maybe they decide that they're going to take some kind of dance class or sign up for something to change their life a little bit, right? We always assume the negative, but there's also people who you're going to be helping and inspiring. When you bring it down to the worst person, that I can't do this because somebody may judge me and think negatively of me, then you never end up focusing on the people who you can serve, who you can help, and go have a big impact on. So even though that had nothing to do with my business, I just caught myself playing small. And the scary part was I had probably done that walk hundreds or thousands of times, and I never caught it. Now I caught it. Right? So I think we play small by default. We're worried about other people's opinions by default. And as soon as you catch it, you want to teach yourself to go do that thing. Because not taking action, and the reason being somebody else's opinion, is that's not a good enough reason. It can't be. Not anymore. Not if you want to go off and accomplish your goals. Because on that climb up, there will be people who will attack you. There just will be. And it has nothing to do with you. A lot of people are in such a negative spot, and they took their shot on their dreams. And now because it didn't work for them, now nobody around them can have success. So step one is to trust your ideas, right? It came to you, you're a genius. Let's go do something about it. Step two is to not allow the opinions of somebody else be the reason why you don't take any kind of action. And then step three is to remind yourself that hurt people hurt people. I don't think they're really negative people, toxic people. I don't think it's baked into anybody. I think humans by default are good. We are built to serve. We want to help. So why would somebody who's built to serve do something negative, tell you that you suck, leave a nasty comment on your video? Because they're in pain, because they're struggling, because they hate their life. Think about you. When you were in a lot of pain, when you've struggled in your life, did you show up as an amazing human for all the people around you? Did you never go and give somebody a snarky remark, right? Are you always proud of how you showed up when you've been stressed out, when you haven't slept, when you're dealing with a really frustrating problem? Right? Of course not. You've had those moments too. Now, it doesn't mean that you go to leave somebody a really negative comment on their YouTube video, but you have reacted out of emotion and you have not been proud of yourself. I have, you have, everybody has. It's part of the human condition. Now imagine if somebody is constantly being beaten down, constantly hating their life, don't even see a path out. How much rage they have inside them. What are they likely to do? Well, continue that behavior just on a bigger scale. Crying out for an attention because they have no friends, because they hate their life, and this is the only way that they get any kind of significance. And what you can do is, when you see something like that, flip it to empathy. Instead of feeling anger, instead of feeling rage, instead of feeling your own insecurity, remind yourself that hurt people hurt people. Why would this person come and leave a nasty comment for you? They don't even know you, because they're dealing with their own struggles. Because if the highlight of their day is coming and leaving a negative comment on your video, how much does that say about how much they hate their life? And when you can actually feel that, it removes the sting from the words. Maybe there's something valuable in the comment, but a lot of times it's just hidden. The hidden value is there, but it's under a lot of negativity. Maybe there is actually something in your video or in whatever you create that could be improved. Just the way they delivered the feedback was really, really negative. right? So it allows you to actually see the feedback and see the person when you can remove the sting of the words by recognizing that these people hate their life. You can help them feel better by keeping doing your thing and making more content. Whatever you want to do in life, whatever your big goals, big dreams, big aspirations are, you have a picture. It may not be a super clear picture, but you have a picture of where you want to go. And that's noble, and that's valuable, and that's serving. And you're going to touch a lot of people's lives along the way there. But only if you act, only if you do something. Those great ideas do nothing if they just sit in your head because you're too afraid to take action because somebody might judge you. The minute you can stop living your life based off the expectations and opinions of other people, that's when everything changes, and that's when life starts to get really, really good. Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
For me, my whole world has only been about the consumer. It has nothing to do with B2B. It has nothing to do with anything. I will never allow anybody to have leverage over me and the end consumer. So my selling hasn't adjusted in a social media world. It's just excelled what I've always naturally done, which is engagement at scale. And reverse engineering and asking questions and listening to what you actually value versus what my audacity wants you to value. Selling to a VC and getting funding is the furthest thing from selling to the end consumer.
Sometimes a lot of people may try a new initiative and then they don't get an immediate reaction and they think it's a failure.
That's right.
I want to go back to your YouTube videos with the wine library. You know, you had so much content out there. How did you stick in there? How did you keep yourself motivated?
Because I believe in my strategies and I'm patient as like all great stuff, especially when you're innovating, doesn't happen right away. This notion that like, oh Gary, I tried it, I spent $500 on Facebook ads, it doesn't work. Well, what if your video sucked? What if your product and service sucks? I tend to do things that are very early. That has been my career. When I do things, I believe in them. I stick with them based on intuition. Even though for 18 months nobody watched my wine videos at all, I knew it was right, I was right. There's been things I've done that I've jumped off of very quickly. I started a GaryVee app, VChat, V-E-E, like WeChat, thought it was funny, for my fans, great CRM one-on-one. Didn't feel right after a week or two, spent plenty of money building it, stopped it after, a couple months. Wine Library TV, 5 years, every day, YouTube. Decided to change it to Daily Grape, insular app. You could buy stuff, subscription for reviews. It was a lot of fun. Only did it for 5 months, stopped it because it didn't feel right anymore.
Okay.
It's always hard to know when to jump off something new, but I find that people don't believe in what they're doing. They hear a guru and they do it begrudgingly because their boss wants them to, or they're like, well, Gary's right a lot, so let me do it, but they don't believe it. And so then they jump, they're looking for no's instead of yeses. Everything I do, every business development, every event I do, every time I try a new marketing tactic or sales tactic, I'm looking for the yes.
Right.
I'm looking for the yes, and if the no punches me, well then I'm like, crap, the no punched me. I believe the majority of people when they try new tactics are looking for the no, and you're gonna getting a lot of subtle no's immediately.
Right.
And so I think that's why that happens. It is far more fun to die on your sword than to die on someone else's. I'm inspired, YouTube. We're gonna make this the episode thing. You'll get whatever you want, Tyler, but this is the core of it. You just saw it on stage. Oh, sorry. You just saw it on stage. Dying on your sword is better than dying on someone else's. So many of you are doing things, making decisions, and navigating your lives based on somebody else's thesis. You're doing it because you think it's the right thing, because your dad's telling you it's the right thing. You're doing what you're doing right now because you're pandering to your boss even though you don't believe in it. This is how it's gonna play out. You are doing things right now. Yesterday, you made a decision that you don't believe in, but you're smart. You did it because you know how your company scores. Here's the problem with disruption and innovation. Right now, you're being rewarded for being a yes person, And in 36 months, you're gonna be fired for being a yes person. And you're doing it because you just need the security of your job. I'm telling you right the now, if you're watching this vlog and you've got, like, that means you have a certain DNA. Please, I implore you, please die on your sword, not somebody else's. If you're gonna lose, it's much more fun to lose based on what you thought. Do you know how many of you are gonna lose on somebody else's thesis? It's gonna kill at you, it's gonna eat at you, it's going to be the worst fucking feeling, so please, pause this video right now and ask yourself, am I doing my shit because of me? Then you're good, whether you're winning or losing. Or am I doing it because somebody else is telling me it's the right way? Or I'm subconsciously pandering to please somebody or something because I need the short-term stability. Figure that the fuck out. You know it and I know it. You just need to do something about it. So many people come up to me and say, Gary, it's so hard to, I look at their Instagram and they're not posting any of their content with hashtags, which is a by accident way to pick up exposure in a world where they have no money. When you have no money, when I took over my dad's business, it did $3 million a year, 10% gross profit, $300,000 before expenses. My first year marketing budget was $14,000. When you have no money, and I built that business from a $3 to a $60 million business in 5 years, I had to make every penny perfect. So I was right about email marketing in '96, and I was right, and because of that, I had 91% open rates. When Google AdWords came out, the day it came out, I paid 5 cents a click for words before anybody bid me up, and I was super right, and that worked.
How much is that luck versus preparation, and do you ever get anything wrong? What do you do when you make a mistake?
I get everything wrong. It's just that I can't recall it because once it's wrong, I'm moving on to the next thing. Like dwelling on what you fucked up on is the quickest way for the next thing not to work. Right?
Yep.
So I think I do everything. I mean, you know this. This is a fun thing to say. Some people in the back know this. I was a breakout YouTube star in the first year, 2006. I decided that the right strategy was to leave YouTube completely and go to Vidler because Vidler offered me equity in their company, and I've left an enormous amount of attention. I deviated from my intention thesis to do short-term economics and equity in a company, and I lost. When D-Rock finally came in my life 2 years ago and we started to try to build up my YouTube for the first time, I was sitting on 40,000 followers in a world where I could have had millions if I just stayed the course. So I make mistakes all the time. I'm reorging VaynerMedia every day because it's based on a mistake I made the prior year. I just don't give a fuck about my mistakes. Everybody else cares about your mistakes. If you're worried about your own mistakes, you've already lost. I really think mindset is everything. And so you've got to really decide, are you gonna be positive about things or negative about things? Am I thrilled that I have the ability to do things about it to make what I'm worried about better? Or am I crippled by there's like these 7 things I need to do tomorrow? I always choose positivity. I look at other people around me. This is not just about me that are winning. They choose positivity. I look at the people around me that are not winning, that are not progressing, that are not advancing. They're choosing negativity. It's stunningly binary. It's stunningly black and white. It's stunningly A or B. This is really up to you. And really, to be very honest, to be very frank, I think the biggest impact I'm having is I read all the emails because I read a lot of them last night as well. Is shifting that mindset and getting people into that and making them understand that they're in charge of that and hacking and trying to pour out the negativity, dump a negativity, add a positivity, dump a negativity, add a positivity, dump a negativity, add a positivity. I'm a positivity to your world. That's what I'm pushing. That's my agenda, and that's why I think you're feeling the effects. And I think you need to find more of that in your partner, in your loved one, in your business partner, in your audience. So many people get 49 comments, 48 are phenomenal. One's like, you're a piece of shit, and they spend 80% of their time on that one comment. Please choose positivity. Negativity. What if I told you this was the last Monday morning of your life? What if I told you die this week? Would you complain about your crap job or that test you don't want to take? I doubt it. You would go much higher level thinking. Well, that's really what it takes. It takes understanding that if you're not pumped right now, if you're begrudging what you're about to do, if you're not looking forward to it, look, I respect practicality. You gotta go through school because your parents want to. You gotta pay your rent. You got student loans, I get it. But please recognize the world we're living in. We're living in a world where there's so much more opportunity. This internet thing created way more opportunity for all of us, way more. I mean, look, you might not even be alive. Like, your mom and dad could have had sex like 3 minutes later and you wouldn't even exist and you're complaining. You could have ended up being a bus, a tree, I just don't get the mentality of being head down sad on a Monday morning. I'm gonna make Monday morning I'm gonna make you Saturday Monday morning. That's what I wanna do every morning, and that's what I want from you. Please, take a step back and think about how awesome it actually is. And then recognize that you can attack the world in a totally different way because you were lucky enough to be born during this era. The way I do branding, I sell so infrequently that I think some of you that are watching me the hardest core need to hear this, which is it's okay to sell, especially if you believe in something. Like if you believe in what you're selling, and that's what I'm spending a lot of time on now, trying to spend more time on really getting to a place where I really believe in stuff. Instead I was just passive, not creating, so I wasn't selling because I didn't believe, and just letting everything come to me. But as I create these, events, Vayner Experience, a lot of events, very big on events. Events are so valuable. Just watching the 4Ds crew, its value and like how it's impacting their business for $10,000 right there. I mean, I know you're getting emails. The wine club, like $150 worth of wine for 55 bucks. Like I've just locked in November's. It's gonna make all your Thanksgivings ridiculous. The conference, $500 2-hour session in my stomping grounds. Good deal compared to like other conferences that I speak at, but you're getting the wine for free, or you're getting the talk for free and you're getting the wine. So like, I'm very fascinated because I'm putting more pressure on myself to create things that I really believe in, which then allows me to sell more. And I just think for a lot of you, selling, the ask, the right hook is very difficult. You're passive, you like the idea of like feeling good about like giving out content, this and that. When you believe in something, you can sell it, and you should put more pressure on yourself to create things that you believe in. Biggest problem is so many of you sell shit you don't believe in. You're just doing it for the money, and you're gonna lose. And that I don't like. I'm desperate for people to start defining their hopes and dreams and wants and needs on their terms, not on what I say. I don't care if you want to hustle 18 hours a day. I really don't. I really, really don't. I don't care if you want to buy the New York Jets. I don't care what you want or need. You need to care about what you want and need. You can't worry about what I'm saying. You can't worry about whoever your flavor of the month is, right? Maybe I'm your flavor of the month right now. Maybe your consistent flavor of the life is your mom's point of view, is your older brother who's guided you with good wisdom but wants you to be a lawyer, but you don't want to be a lawyer. You want to be a street artist. You want to take the chance of being an entrepreneur, or the reverse. Or the reverse. Nobody preaches and loves entrepreneurship more than me, but I think you see me all the time talking about like self-awareness. Are you one? This is the golden era for entrepreneurship. People ask me for selfies. This will go away. It may not go away for me, but it's gonna go away. Like, it's entrepreneurship, like a rap artist, like a baseball player, like the heavyweight. Nobody cares who the heavyweight champion of the world is right now. Nobody cares who's an active astronaut, but they surely did in 1969 and 1954 for the heavyweight champ, or they change, and it will always change, and it will continuously change. And right now, entrepreneurship is in this pedestal. It's having its moment. And what I'm fearful of is that you watch my videos, you see my Instagram quotes, and what I want to clarify for everybody is I hope you understand, I am not giving advice to everybody. The only advice I'd like to give to everybody is to do you, to find what your North Star is, to understand yourself, to understand what your work-life balance ambitions are, what your financial ambitions are, what your life challenges are, the problems that you want to try to solve and cure, as we all do as humans, trying to climb those different mountains in our lives. What makes you tick? That is all that matters. I don't do Daily V or all these videos for you to be like me. I don't think anybody should be like me. Boy, there are enormous amounts of pressures and sacrifices that I recognize are just not healthy or valuable to anybody else. But it's also not healthy or valuable to me to do some of the things that you want me to do. Like, it's not fun for me to work 9 to 5. Like, I will break. I will be as equally devastated as you would be to work till midnight every day. And so we just need a call to action for everybody to recognize we have to stop judging everybody else. I'm not judging you. I'm creating content for you to use as a barometer to try to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And I'm trying to provide value through my words, my actions, and my content to bring to people to amplify their worlds. And that's really it. That's the clarification. Like, I don't want people to be like me. I don't want people to do me. I want people to do themselves. And they just have to start with understanding themselves and not trying to be like me in this moment or that person the next moment or that person the next moment. The people that most win are in tune with themselves and figuring themselves out. Here's a really, really important piece of advice that I think will bring you value. Please don't stay quiet because you know it doesn't matter and you know it won't play well in the room. Now that doesn't mean be like me and be super combative. It means be respectful. But let me give you one humongous piece of advice. The world's gonna change. Animatics are the stupidest of all time. Ipsos is the stupidest of all time. It can't sustain itself and it will break and it's getting closer than you think. So it's important for you to share your actual points of view in these rooms because people are watching. And right now you may be frowned upon or it's silly or it's naivete or it's a kid talking, but everybody's watching and listening. And in 3 years, when that person's fired and goes to a new place and they have to win in digital, they're gonna be like, hey, she knew. And so die on your sword. A lot of you are staying quiet because you know it'll help you grow, but you guys are agreeing to things you don't actually believe in. You're doing it because within the 4 walls you work in, that's what you know the rules are. It seems like it makes sense. The problem is we're at a point of transition. And what always happens at a point of transition is you guys are in a very precarious spot. You're the last of the Mohicans. So you're gonna uphold the past because it's gonna play in the room, but you're also gonna live through a career where it's going to be frowned upon. When you apply to the progressive places, they're gonna wanna know where you sit on this. What did you do about it? We're gonna talk to the clients or the other people. Like, if you don't have a track record of at least communicating your points of view, you're definitely not gonna have work. This is one of the biggest things. You're still gonna need a real ninja there. It's like you may be thinking that I'm watching the show, but what I'm doing is what I always do, which is I'm reading your comments. YouTube, I've said it for all the new ones that are here. The comments are my oxygen. I don't think people understand how much qualitative feedback you get from comments, reading comments, watching the explore pages, looking at how you guys respond to my stuff and others. There's so many hours of consumption. This is where I don't consume shows and things of that nature because I spend so much time reading your feedback. As a collective, I consume you guys more than you consume me. And so I just highly recommend when you have a small audience, like you read every one of those comments, you engage with every one of those comments, brick by brick by brick. Eventually you can't reply to everybody, but like you can always read a lot. I mean, I'm just reading all these comments. The problem is, if you have the greatest hammer and the greatest screwdriver and the greatest wrench, the greatest in front of you, if you don't use them properly, you will lose. Right. If there's a nail that I have to put in that ground, but I take the wrench and I hit it when the hammer was right there, it still comes down to the practitioner. And you have to be good at your craft and you have to love if you don't love sales, if you don't love it, you have no chance. Because it's so hard, it's so painful, there's so much rejection. Right. So those are the things I think about. So technology is clearly an enabler, as you've just said there, though. Yes. The person is equally important. And more important. Right, and going back to I just apologize for jumping in, but let me make it perfectly straight. If I go play Roger Federer right now in tennis, and I have the greatest tennis racket ever made, like taken from the Mars's new resources, and he took a John McEnroe 1974 tennis racket, he would whip my ass. Like, I'm crushing salespeople that have every Salesforce, every one of your competitors, 37 features, upgraded, went to every pro conference, watching this. I will beat their ass in sales every day of the week. Pure talent. If you don't provide real, actual value to people in exchange for the money that you're asking for in return, you will lose over time. It happens every time. You might be able to make some quick cash, but you will never win long term. And you will go through the same shit over and over. There are plenty of 30, 40, 50-year-olds in here who go up and down, up and down, up and down, because their stuff is horse shit, and it's not coming from the right place, and they're looking to make a quick buck, and some character on stage says that they got a process that's gonna make it happen fast, and they're wrong.
And it was, you regularly say that failure propels you. Are there any instances in your past truly where you couldn't get over it, and why?
Nope.
And that's why they
I mean, by the way, that's the same answer for everybody in this room. That's what humans are good at. We all fail. We've all failed. Like, my parents haven't been killed, my child, I mean, there's people that have their children die. Like, could you imagine? Like, the I deal, listen, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how one wants to look at it, I'm a pretty optimistic guy. I lost 3 of my 4 grandparents before I knew them. 2 before I was born and 1 very early on. So, it's easy for me to be happy. I have my shit in the right order. The health and well-being of my family. And there's nothing even remotely close to that. Not even remotely. People have gotten through much worse. This is why I'm trying to recall our grandparents and our great-grandparents. People were persecuted and killed. We do not have real headaches. I don't know why I have this highly emotional and then completely unemotional part of me, but I mix them together to create the balance, and that's what works for me. So of course there's nothing that I couldn't get up from. Like every other human ever besides somebody who now lives in some weird cave that we don't know about. You know what I mean?
I do.
We are strong as shit. We're really strong. We're just being sold that we're not, because there's a lot of money in telling us that we're not pretty enough, thin enough, smart enough, good enough. That, I want to tell you, you're the best, go do shit. When are you going to start talking? What are you waiting for? If you are not communicating, you don't exist. I believe that. If you are not communicating, you do not exist. More importantly, communicate about what you love. What scares me about the long tail of the internet is I know there's somebody sitting in here who's watched every episode of Friends, okay? Deeply loves Friends. Can't get enough in their own mind of debating Rachel and Ross. Loved the show. Watch it every night to go to sleep to, and I know they make $49, $62, $88, $103,000 a year doing something they don't like. And I know that if they started a podcast about Friends every day when they went home, instead of consuming content to escape the fact that they don't like their job, if they created content around the thing they love, that after 24, 36, 48 months, that along could have came Netflix and been a sponsor of that podcast that would allow them to actually leave that job they hate and now be a full-time Friends podcaster. You don't believe that. I understand that. That seems like a far-fetched story to you. The problem is you don't live my life, because I wrote a book in 2009 called Crush It that laid this out, and I get to live the best life now where I get 3 to 6 emails a day of people that tell me this exact story. Whether it's about pickles. People like pickles. I do too. I eat pickles like crazy. Star Trek. Esports, don't even get me started, because I used to push it a lot and people have gone completely and made real careers in that. Just stuff. I just really, really, really hope you hear me today.
I've been feeling a little bit unmotivated, and I've been feeling like I should be doing something, or I feel like I should be pulled in I'm feeling uninspired, basically. That's my question. How do you when you lose inspiration or you lose motivation, how do you get it back?
I get it back by remembering that you might die tomorrow.
That's true.
So I'm inspired by practicality and reality and the truth, which is, it is ridiculously impossible to become a human being. I am one. I have other good things going for me as a human being, and I'm just grateful. You're dwelling and looking at what you don't have versus looking at what you have. If you actually looked at what you had, your health, living in America, who the heck knows what would be on your list? If you actually spent all your time looking at that versus, I don't have $1 million. I'm not famous. I don't have this. If you spent all your time on what you have versus what you don't have, you would be the happiest girl on earth.
Should I launch my business on the side or take a gap year and try to launch it?
Both work.
Both?
Both work.
Which one is best?
I don't know you well enough, you know. You know what I mean? They both work.
Yes.
Which one do you want to do?
I would like to try to take a gap year, but
So take a gap year.
I'm scared.
Well, that's why you're not asking.
Yes. Which one will you do?
I wouldn't take either.
What will you do then?
I can't answer that for you. Fear's holding you back. You know what you want to do. The only reason you're not doing it is because you're scared of doing what you actually want to do. Right?
Yes, that's...
Are you scared to do it because your parents won't like it?
No, my parents actually support me.
Okay, so what are you scared of, failing?
Not failing, but still being at the same place when my friends are at the next level.
Huge mistake. You don't want the same thing your friends want. So why the f do you care what they have? Number one mistake so many people make is they care about what other people have. I don't give a f what anybody has. If I have more, if I have less, doesn't matter. I worry about myself. The fact that you're worrying about other people's accomplishments is already a losing formula. You need to get rid of that first, then you can focus on yourself. You know, to be great, I think you have to fight. And I very much think that my success is a product of some level of skill, but I do think I win because I outwork people. I really do believe that. I do believe that 100%. And I'm not sure that if my dad didn't set that example, that I'd even have the ability to think one could work that hard. The fact that I've been working 19 hours a day, every day for the last 20 years is easy for me. It's the only gear I knew, right? I was poor, I sucked at school. It was the only gear I had. You know, I think you need to recognize that that your biggest advantage is that you're hungrier than your competitor. And that if you're not applying your one advantage, which is your work ethic and the hours that you have to put into your business, well, then you're gonna come up short. I sit here with enormous assumptions around all of you that you're just too soft to beat me. Right? That I think that you've had it better and that alone doesn't allow you to beat me. Somebody will come with a countercultural point of view and be like, Gary, that's cool, but I don't have to work that hard because I'm working smarter. Yeah, me too, asshole. I work hard and smart. Now what? Look, there's a 12-hour, 10-hour, 8-hour, 15-hour workday. You can finish a lot of things in those 18, 12, 9 hours, or you can finish medium amounts of things or lightweight things. People focus on too many small details. Way too many people in this room are gonna spend the next 30, 40 years of their lives trying to check the boxes of the things that they're not as good at, and that you're gonna waste a load of time and lose. I highly recommend for all you hustlers, because there's a lot of you that are always talking about, Gary, I do work hard, and you do. You work for 16 hours. Some people just don't have the attention span or the capacity to remember, or like, there's a lot of things I can't learn. I was a very poor student because the subject matter bored me. And if I was forced to become great at understanding the great artists of the 20th century, I'm in big trouble. And so I would tell people to bet on their strengths. You need to bet on your strengths and don't give a f about what you suck at. And to put themselves in a position to win with their strengths, because that is absolutely the straightest line to success. Greatness comes from adversity and looking the challenge in the eye and having the intestinal fortitude to kind of to step up and go after it.
Amy asks, a professor once said to me, it's better to be a big fish in a small pond. Do you agree?
Amy, this, you know, I'm gonna be very upfront on this question. This is a good way to bang out the show. That sounds like a loser professor to me. It's small time thinking. I don't subscribe to it. There's a lot of practicality in it, right? It's a lot easier to be the most successful businessman in St. Louis, Missouri than it is to be in the world, right? So I understand the thesis, but honestly, that to me is very conservative, not in my DNA thinking. That could be great advice for a lot of people who are delirious and think they're better than they are, though I love to drive through self-esteem and optimism, and I think early in your life, you should absolutely shoot for the highest stars that you can. I think as life moves on and time moves on, you need to become more practical. you've got bills and kids and all those kind of things. But to start off one's career in the first 20 years, call it till you're 40, to be in that thinking, I think that limits. There have been so many people who've hedged and settled in their lives. And honestly, I'm not the kind of character that's going to play in that kind of sphere. I'm going in a different direction. It's what comes natural to me. But it's also because I think I could be the biggest and the baddest in any game I play. It's just how I'm wired. I think this comes down to, it's probably very good advice to some, and it's probably atrocious advice to others. And this is why I continue to say, if I could inject anything into anybody, it would be self-awareness, because it would help you answer this question. Because for a lot of people, it's probably really solid advice. For me, and for many of you watching this, it's crap advice. I think, again, what I'm really trying to establish in this talk this morning is, I don't think people have quantified the opportunity. I struggle, regardless of circumstance, with people dwelling or complaining in a world where the internet is free, has no idea who you are, could care less, it's right there, and it becomes a game of skill, not necessarily finances, to actually win. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me that you can be in the retail business overnight by setting up a Shopify account, which costs nothing, when that same action to sell something 30 years ago meant that you had to sign a lease and build out a store and rely on the local traffic that walked by. It scares me and excites me that the biggest music company in the world, Spotify, was built in Sweden by a kid. And on and on and on, and you've heard every story. But more importantly, for every ridiculous story we've seen of Instagram or Facebook or Uber or Spotify, there are hundreds of thousands of stories of people with wins that are micro versions. I actually think the most unhealthy thing in entrepreneurship and opportunity is the big stories, and everybody thinks they have to build $1 billion company. I think we do not talk enough about the practical $150,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $700,000 a year business that you genuinely love what you do, and you can live your life being happy and financially sound, and what the cost of entry to be able to do that is in today's environment, which, once again, let me say it very slow, between putting out a media company, if you decide to put that on a WordPress or a Squarespace, a retail company, on the back of a Shopify, you could start a radio show that is global on the back of just uploading something you record on your memos on your phone and upload onto Spotify and Apple and SoundCloud. My friends, distribution is free. I know it's a nerdy thing. Like, it's not like some big profound statement, but let me say it nice and slow. Distribution is free. It used to cost a fortune. Now what you put inside of it is the variable of your success, not your financial capabilities to create the distribution. You have to, like, I wish we could zoom in. I literally have goosebumps on my neck right now. No, but really, I really do. It's like a very, I will live my last breath trying to get people to understand this is remarkable. This is a game of perspective. Are you educated or capable of seeing it from the lens that I'm speaking about today, which is the barrier to reach the end person, whether you're a financial advisor and trying to get to a client, whether you sell bow ties, whether you want to be, how about the fact if you want to be a professional football player, and now there's all these websites where you can upload your film because the scout didn't come to your tiny, tiny town, and now you actually can be discovered. Like, everything has changed. My question and my dream every time I speak is, can I get one person in this room to get their piece? Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for 20 bucks a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
If you want another amazing Gary Vee video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I wake up every morning. Espresso, keep me going. I wake up every morning.